When the guns finally fell silent in 1918, peace did not bring relief to Macedonia. The First World War had ended, but for thousands of civilians, the real struggle was only beginning. Across the country, towns and villages lay in ruins. Fields were abandoned, homes destroyed, and entire families left with nothing. Poverty was everywhere. Even worse, disease spread through the exhausted population. Typhus, influenza, smallpox, malaria, cholera, and other infectious illnesses claimed countless lives, while thousands suffered from untreated wounds and venereal diseases. Doctors were scarce, medicines even scarcer. In those desperate years, one humanitarian mission stood out above all others. It was the mission of the American Women's Hospitals, working together with the American Red Cross. The story begins in 1917. When the United States entered the First World War on the side of the Allies, hundreds of American women physicians volunteered to serve. At the time, women made up less than 6% of all doctors in the United States. Despite being highly qualified, most were denied commissions as military physicians and were accepted only as nurses or support personnel. Everything changed after an American Red Cross commission visited Thessaloniki. There, they witnessed the remarkable success of the Scottish Women's Hospitals, whose female doctors were treating soldiers and civilians near the Macedonian front. Inspired by what they saw, the Red Cross decided to establish a similar American mission in the Balkans. Among the first, 2 women answered the call. Dr. Regina Flood Keyes of Buffalo, New York, a respected surgeon, and her cousin, Dr. Frances Mabel Flood of Elmira, New York. Their first assignment took them to the town of Vodina, today known as Edessa in Greece, just behind the Macedonian front. There, they inherited an abandoned building that barely resembled a hospital. Supplies were difficult to obtain. The Mediterranean remained dangerous because of Austro-Hungarian naval attacks, and construction materials were scarce throughout the Balkans. But the doctors refused to give up. Working with local craftsmen, they transformed the neglected structure into a modern 50-bed hospital, equipped with advanced surgical instruments brought from America. Outside its walls, however, another battle was raging. Vodina was overflowing with refugees who had escaped the fighting but could not escape disease. Families slept in the streets. Malaria and typhus spread rapidly. Many people had never been taught how infectious diseases were transmitted, so the American doctors fought an invisible enemy. They cleaned every room, disinfected every surface, and even covered the hospital windows with surgical gauze to keep mosquitoes and flies from entering. It was a simple idea that saved countless lives. They also opened outpatient clinics, where 2 American nurses and local medical workers treated patients from dawn until late at night. By early 1918, nearly 3,000 patients were passing through their clinics every month. At first, many locals had never seen a woman doctor. But skill speaks louder than prejudice. The dedication of the 2 cousins quickly earned the trust and admiration of the local population, especially during the devastating influenza pandemic that swept across Europe in the autumn of 1918.
Then came September. As Allied forces launched the final offensive that broke through the Macedonian front, the French army urgently requested Dr. Regina's assistance. She volunteered immediately. Near Dobropol, she worked inside a canvas tent only a short distance behind the front lines. For days, she operated almost without rest, while wounded soldiers waited outside and artillery shells exploded nearby. Her courage under fire later earned her one of France's highest decorations. When the front collapsed and the Central Powers retreated, the American mission received a new assignment. Few cities had suffered more during the war. For nearly 2 years, Bitola had been relentlessly bombarded. Entire neighborhoods had disappeared beneath the shells. What the doctors found there was almost beyond belief. The surrounding hills were filled with shallow graves. Packs of wolves and stray dogs dug through human remains. Bones lay scattered across the landscape. In nearby villages, starving survivors searched the earth for roots simply to stay alive. The city itself was filled with orphaned children. No one knew their names. No one knew where they had come from. Many wandered barefoot through the ruins, wrapped in rags. Others waited in Red Cross food lines without parents or family. Some were discovered hidden inside collapsed buildings, slowly dying from influenza, typhus, or starvation. Returning soldiers presented another enormous challenge. Many arrived home with untreated wounds that had become badly infected. Venereal diseases had spread widely throughout the civilian population. The American mission adopted a simple but powerful motto: "We won the war. Now we must win the peace." Work began immediately. One of the few large buildings that had survived the shelling stood beside Bitola's famous clock tower. According to American Red Cross records, it had once served as an Ottoman school. The building was transformed into a hospital. Within a short time, it gained a remarkable reputation. Visitors described it as one of the finest hospitals in the Balkans. Its greatest distinction, however, was not its equipment. It was its cleanliness. Every ward was spotless. Strict sanitation rules governed every aspect of daily life. Patients were washed, bedding disinfected, and every effort was made to stop insects from spreading disease. The hospital became so famous for its hygiene that it earned an extraordinary nickname: the Flyless Hospital of the Balkans. Alongside the hospital, the Americans established outpatient clinics, public bathhouses, and a special disinfection center. Doctors often examined more than 200 patients every single day. Relief ships from America delivered food, clothing, medicines, and agricultural supplies. To distribute aid fairly, the Red Cross introduced ration cards. The desperation was so great that some families reportedly concealed the deaths of relatives or delayed burials so they would not lose an extra meal ration. Inside the hospital, responsibilities were divided between the two cousins. Dr. Regina Keyes served as chief surgeon and hospital director. Dr. Francis Flood cared primarily for patients suffering from infectious diseases, including typhus and influenza. Together, they became beloved throughout Bitola. The local people gave them a name that has survived for more than a century: the Angels of Bitola. As conditions slowly improved, additional American doctors and humanitarian missions arrived across the region. Hospitals were opened in other cities, while shipments of medical supplies, farming equipment, clothing, and food helped communities begin rebuilding their lives.
In 1920, the work of the two cousins in Bitola came to an end. Dr. Frances Mabel Flood returned to the United States. During her voyage home, she met Alfred Heath of Liverpool, whom she later married. They settled in Elmira, New York, where she reopened her medical practice and welcomed a daughter, Marjorie Louise. Tragically, her life was cut short. In 1923, she died from complications following an appendectomy at only 44 years of age. 4 years later, King Alexander awarded her the Order of Saint Sava posthumously. The decoration was accepted by her young daughter, who herself died from pneumonia just 2 years later. Dr. Regina Flood Keyes followed a different path. She married Quincy F. Roberts, who had served as Deputy United States Consul in Thessaloniki. Together, they traveled across the world on diplomatic assignments. Even overseas, Regina continued her humanitarian work. While living in Fiji, she again became known for treating local communities in need. During the Second World War, she and her husband were interned by Japan. In 1942, While being exchanged between Japan and the United States, Regina died during the voyage. Her final resting place was the sea. The First World War devastated the Balkans in ways that went far beyond the battlefield. The movement of millions of soldiers accelerated epidemics that ultimately claimed more lives than artillery, rifles, or machine guns. Yet amid that tragedy stood extraordinary individuals whose names have largely faded from history. Doctors, nurses, volunteers, local citizens, people who chose compassion over comfort. Today, few monuments honor them. They rarely appear in history textbooks, which often celebrate generals and politicians while overlooking those who saved lives instead of taking them. The story of the Angels of Bitola is a reminder that history is shaped not only by those who wage wars, but also by those who heal their wounds. More than a century later, their legacy deserves to be remembered.